tonight. It is the hottest ticket in town, and that is at the Chrysler Center, where Michigan will bring in Michigan State for the first game of two that they'll match up with over the next several weeks. Michigan with 6 games to go this one, and then Michigan State will play the season finale. Michigan's got 4 winnable games sandwiched in between the Spartans, and we're ready to go. There's Jerry Diorio is back with us, ready to talk a little basketball and get everybody all fired up. Jerry, what's going on?
Great to be a Michigan Wolverine here, Denny, in the sunny state of Florida. And you know, Denny, it's amazing. Everywhere you go, there's always Michigan attire somewhere. Hat, shirt, pants, shoes, something. Disney World, anywhere you go, there's always Michigan attire. You got to love it. Got to love it.
And so you'll have your Michigan stuff on, and then you'll see someone. Do you give them a go blue?
I just come up to them and say, everywhere you go blue. How's that?
Hey, it's not bad. Jerry, coming up in 10 minutes, is going to give us his biggest concerns for Michigan football for the 2025 season. So you can think about those yourself. We always look for your feedback anyways, so you can get your biggest concerns for the upcoming season and start thinking of those right now. And we'll get to that in 15 minutes. But we're going to start with this basketball game tonight. And Jerry, you know, this is all I ask for when it comes to Michigan basketball. Be relevant, be entertaining, give themselves a chance, get into the tournament. And they've done all that, and they've exceeded those expectations, and they put themselves in a position in Dusty May's first year where it's nothing impossible, but they have a chance to win the Big Ten regular season title, which would be one hell of an accomplishment. So you never feel like, I don't know if you ever feel like you're just playing with house money. It's relaxing, just getting ready to be entertained. But he's really made this game tonight one where all eyes will be on Michigan.
You know, Denny, I think Michigan gets a little bit of a bad rap because we're usually pretty good in all sports. And you know, when I think back at Michigan basketball in 2018, 2019, I think we're starting to think about Michigan as a basketball, or on 2013, 2014, we were starting to think Michigan as a basketball school and not a football school until Harbaugh came in. So, you know, we've had Beeline, and now we got Coach May, and he's doing a phenomenal job. And if they win this game tonight, Denny, we are in great shape. Great shape to win the Big Ten championship regular season.
Yeah, when you think about the history of Michigan basketball, every decade they've made a Final Four. So they have been relevant if you want to look at each 10-year, however you want to look at it. But they did have, after the Fab Five, the Ed Martin situation where it kind of crashed and burned, and they were on de facto probation for a long time. But then they kept going up and up. You know, there was Amaker, and then John Beeline. You mentioned his name, what he was able to do for the Michigan basketball program. Michigan was down. They were, you know, Tommy Amaker had him on an upswing, but Beeline came in, and he didn't just make it where he was like, all right, every couple years, you know, Michigan will make the tournament. He put Michigan like right back on the map, you know, planted a flag and said, hey, you know, Michigan, they don't need Michigan State to be down. Michigan State can be doing whatever they want. And, you know, Dusty, it's only been, you know, they haven't completed season 1, but it feels like, you know, Dusty's got a lot of John Beeline in him.
Yeah, exactly, Denny. You know, it's funny, though. It's almost like Michigan State's team looks like more of a Beeline type style team, and Izzo's type team. You know, they're smaller. They play those guards. They're a little bit more athletic, and it's what it looks like for Michigan State tonight. But I'll tell you what, as far as Dusty May is what he's done this year, phenomenal team. I love our two bigs inside. It really gives nightmare matchups to opponents. They've been just absolutely fantastic. And I think we said this earlier, Denny. If we get these turnover issues taken care of, we're going to be a tough team to beat come March.
Well, I will make a case that Michigan has corrected their turnover issues. I don't know if you want to say it's a small sample size, 3 games, but the last 3 games were a pretty big deal. You know, they had to go on the road to Indiana. They had to come home and play Purdue, which was a top 10 team. And you think about their just how they have played in these games. They have stopped turning the ball over. Indiana, Purdue, and then down at Ohio State. They've committed 12 turnovers. And, you know, this was a team that was committing 18, and then horrendous turnovers. Oh, yeah. And it really stuck out. And each of those last 3 games that I just mentioned, I say just 12. That's not bad. That's good. And it was always, before those 3 games, it was like, man, Michigan, they just can't play this way. They can't just make plays at the end of the game against the good teams. It's going to catch up with you, and they will lose those games. But, you know, they worked that out, and they continue to make big plays down the stretch, and then they won 3 games. I mean, winning on the road in the Big Ten at Indiana, at Ohio State, that's not an easy thing to do. And then beating Purdue, this is a team that has proved a lot in these last 3 games to put themselves in position. I mean, they're up to number 12 in the rankings, and whatever you want to do, you want to look at Ken Pom, you want to look at all that. There's a million things you can go with bracketology and everything else, and looking at the stats and wherever else. Michigan is about, the number 12 team in the country. That's just about right. Number 12 versus number 14, 8:00 tonight. Michigan, they look like a big favorite. I just was looking at ESPN. If you get 3.5 seems like a big number to me, I would have put that like 1.5 or 2. But I don't set the gambling lines. But there's more pressure, Jerry, tonight on Michigan, because this game, Michigan has a game in hand, and also they're playing this one at home. If Michigan State loses this game, they can say, well, we can just return the favor in the season finale in East Lansing, where if Michigan State would win this game tonight, they would go into the driver's seat, where they would say, now we've got that game at home, we can win this thing outright. So a little bit more, to me, pressure on Michigan tonight.
I'm going to go this way, Danny. I think the pressure's on both teams evenly because, hey, there's nothing to say we can't go into East Lansing and win. We've won there before, and we could do it again. But the thing about it is, I'm looking at the remaining schedule. Very winnable games for Michigan. Very winnable games for Michigan. We've got Illinois at home. We got Nebraska, Rutgers at home. Wait a minute. We got, Nebraska on the road, Rutgers in Illinois, and Maryland all at home. Those are winnable games if we're playing at home. So, Michigan State, they have to win tonight to force a potential championship or a share as championship. We've got to win tonight to give us a real nice cushion going into those last 5 games.
Michigan has a game in hand. Michigan State has already played one more game. So that's where State is 21-5 and Michigan is 20-5. We've got a point here made by Michigan Go Blue 1, 2, 3, 4. He says, this feels like a Big Ten tournament championship type of game. In my opinion, whoever wins this game will win the Big Ten regular season, no doubt. I would say that you're part about the feeling where this is like a tournament game or, a Big Ten tournament game. I feel that because this is definitely, it puts you into the driver's seat, whoever wins this game. If Michigan wins this game, Jerry just went over those winnable games. You feel like they could win this thing outright. And if Michigan State goes and comes in and steals this game, of course, they're going to feel like they can win this one outright. So that's a lot at stake. And I loved it when I was always waiting for the time where Michigan and Michigan State were going to play in the Big Ten tournament, like in the championship game, and then they did. That was a great thing to look forward to. I'm waiting for that final one. And hey, maybe it could be this year. I would take it this year. I don't know if Michigan fans would take it. How about I'll just throw this proposal at you, Jerry. Michigan makes the Final Four, but so does Michigan State. I mean, so you take that deal right now?
Oh,
because
absolutely.
I'm down
with that with a lot of popcorn.
Okay.
With a lot of popcorn. Denny, the reason why I'm saying it's evenly split and maybe even leaning towards must win for Michigan State. When you look at Michigan State's next opponent, you think about it. They just beat Purdue. Big win.
Yeah, that's right.
They got to come into Ann Arbor and steal another big win and then go on the road to College Park in Maryland and win a game there against a very, very good Maryland basketball team. So that's where I'm at with saying that this game is evenly divided as far as the importance. I just think if we win this game, we've got a heck of a lot better chance of winning the Big Ten championship than they do.
I'll buy your argument, even though, I'll stay with what I said, that I think it's a little bit more because Michigan's at home, that it's a little bit more pressure. When you look at that schedule that Michigan State has, not only do they have to go to Maryland, they also have to play Wisconsin.
Iowa.
So,
Iowa.
And on the road at Iowa. But I don't know. That should be a winnable game for them. Who knows? But I like it when it's like this. There's always this talk about, the football rules everything and basketball is just a placeholder. But that's fine for a lot of people. You still have to live your life and still have to enjoy things. Last night was a great hockey game. You could have watched that. Were you sitting there watching this great hockey game going, it's not Michigan football. It's just not really delivering the goods to me. No, it's pretty cool. The anthem, there was a lot of intensity. Too bad that the USA didn't win. But so you find your spots to give you that energy when you can, waiting for the college football season to arrive. But this one, no matter what kind of basketball fan you are, this is in the state of Michigan. This is one that gets the juices flowing. And even if Michigan was down in the years that they've been down, you'd say, just beat Michigan State. At least beat Michigan State. But now that it's the stakes are extremely high, it just adds to it. And it should be a great atmosphere tonight. It's everything that I love about college athletics. You got a great rivalry. You've got big time stuff online at stake with possibly winning the championship. And the way Dusty May has come in here and the way he's put this team together, the way he picked these players, man, it just, you could say that, well, who knows how he's going to be able to do things moving forward. He was able to pick up his boy in Vlad Golden where he was at with FAU. But moving forward, Jerry, I was listening. I just saw Rick Pitino. He's doing a good job with St. John's. And Rick Pitino was being asked about recruiting. He said, we're not even recruiting any high school kids right now. He said, we're doing, it's nothing but transfers. We want to bring in guys that are coming in that have already played 3, 4, 5 years. We want to bring these guys in. I said 5. It seems like sometimes the guys get an extra 8. He's like, we're doing all transfer portal. And so, going out and, getting 8 guys in the transfer portal and being able to identify them. And it wasn't like Michigan was paying top dollar for like 4, 5, 6 guys. I mean, these weren't gigantic names. Everybody was like, oh, Michigan's going to be awesome bringing these guys in. He identified players, put them together, and put this team together. And so for that, I mean, there's nothing but encouraging things if you're a Michigan basketball fan when it comes down to the coach and what he was doing. Yeah,
you look at what he did in bringing these guys in. It was great effort, and we're in a position right now because of it.
Yep. Let's look at some of the feedback. Scott has a couple in here, and he says Tom Izzo's experience could be the difference tonight. Michigan loses big leads because of turnovers. Yeah, Michigan has over the last 3 games. I mean, it depends, again, how much. If somebody comes in and is just talking turnovers, I'm thinking, yeah, you have not looked at their last 3 games where it's, where their 3 biggest. And the difference to me is that not only have they done better on the turnover department, they've changed their lineup. They had Roddy Gale, who was struggling. He had some good season or some good games, but they put him to the bench. And Reuben Jones, who had really not done anything for Michigan this year, Reuben Jones has been in the lineup for 3 games, starting lineup, and these last 2 games have been his best 2 games. So this is a lineup change that has helped the starters out. It has stretched Michigan's bench because Gale, the way he played against Ohio State, that could be something to slow him down, and he comes in with the second unit. That has been very positive. There has been a change with Michigan basketball, and that is that they've reduced their turnovers, that they've gone from Roddy to Reuben. Their bench is stretched out, and I would also add, this is more of a reach, but they had Pippen in the lineup as a true freshman, but now Kason is back and came in right at the end of the first half, and he scored some quick points, and he can be a factor in there. But I think knowing how many players that Michigan State has, and this maybe to the Tom Izzo experience, and Izzo maybe wanting to play this game aggressive and rough and tumble, trying to get the referees to blow the whistle, knowing that he's got a deeper team. Well, that's where these guys that I just talked about have to step up.
Well, that's what makes great coaches, Denny, and that's why we've got a really good coach in Coach May, and really respect what he's done. Ever since that Purdue game, this Michigan team has been on a total roar. 6 straight, 5 in February. That's very good basketball right there. And it just seems like Coach May is making those moves to improve the team down the stretch. And that's what it looks like to me. Like you said, these last 3 games, I couldn't believe at the end of the game, I think I saw 5 turnovers for Michigan against Ohio State, or 5 in the second half. It's something like, we were averaging 12, 13 turnovers a half almost in some of those earlier games. And so when I see 5 turnovers in a half, and we're getting deeper team. You didn't mention Shetter. He's playing very well now too down the line.
Yes, he is.
So you've got a deep bench. 8 players down a bench. 8-9 players down a bench is a pretty good depth, and that's what he's looking at tonight. He's looking right in the mirror tonight at Michigan State, who doesn't seem like they have the superstar that they've had in past. They've got the guard that can penetrate and get into the paint, yeah, but they don't have that superstar, that leader in scoring or leader in rebounds, leader in assists. They're a good basketball team. They're deep, and they play like a Tom Izzo team, Tom Izzo coach team plays. Very aggressive, very fast, very athletic, a lot of energy.
Yeah, Fears isn't Cassius Winston or Mateen Cleaves, but he's pretty good. To me, this game comes down. Michigan has the advantage in the front court,
Absolutely.
And Michigan State has the advantage in the back court. Now, these back court, Michigan State doesn't shoot a lot of threes. They're not a very good three-point shooting team. They've got athletic guards that like to get into the lane. Michigan's got some shot blockers, obviously, with their 2 7-footers. Can they defend when those guards are coming down the lane? Are they going to be able to rebound and then also block some shots there? And I would think Michigan wants to be really aggressive in getting the ball to Vlad Golden. Vlad Golden in some games, I don't know how many people stayed up and watched those West Coast games against USC and Oregon. Vlad Golden was dominating. I mean, he looked like a guy that could play in the NBA. That's how good he played. He got sick, and it was like a week and a half that his production fell. But I almost feel like he is an underrated. I don't think he gets talked about enough for Michigan fans, but I think he's the focal point. Wolf has been their overall best player, and he's 7 feet, and he's playing 25 feet away from the basket. I'm not really taking anything away from him. This is a Vlad Golden game, getting him the ball and getting those really two big men that Michigan State have, get them into foul trouble. And, they get the big guy from Poland, and then, they get Cooper's also a close to 7-footer. Anybody else, Golden's going to eat their lunch. So Michigan making an effort to get the ball, using that 4-5 screen and roll. Wolf and Golden, Golden and Wolf. Tom Izzo, to Scott's point about what kind of coach he is and how they will have worked on that. Michigan will be running some, some fakes and things off of that. But I think they're going to try the bread and butter. It's Golden early and often for U of M. That would be my prediction tonight.
Danny, I didn't realize this. Golden is our leading scorer right now. I was thinking it was Wolf coming out of these last 6, and it's Golden. Golden is our leading scorer. To talk to your point about Golden and what the year he's had. The other thing you mentioned was, are we going to be able to keep their guards out of the paint and possibly have 7-footer on them? And I think the answer was kind of spelled out against Ohio State. Wolf slipped on that last play where the Ohio State kid shot up that air ball.
Right.
He slipped.
Right.
And the key to that point is he slipped. That kid who took the shot at Ohio State didn't think Wolf slipped. And he was anticipating Wolf being in his face and trying to get off some kind of shot. And that's the kind of thing that Wolf brings to the defensive side. You're afraid where he's at, he's going to block your shot. And that's what I like about this Michigan team going against this Michigan State team. We've got somebody that can really intimidate their little guys in the paint. We got a couple guys.
Yeah, we're going to get to football here in just a moment. Scott says it's surprising that Michigan State does not have a superstar given their great recruiting classes they had 2 years ago. These guys are all sophomores now. Well, Fears got hurt last year, and yeah, I mean, he's a 5-star. And you would say that when you bring a 5-star and you kind of expect those guys to be superstars, the other guy that's surprising that is Xavier Booker. He plays. He's 6'11", he plays a lot. Looks like mostly from the perimeter. He was the number one. It wasn't just a 5-star. He was the number one player overall. People were talking about him. Well, he'll be the number one overall pick when you get a guy like that. And, he doesn't even start. So, Izzo has done that before with supers that he gets, these 5-stars. It's like they don't do anything as their freshman. You can't say anything about Fears. He got hurt. But, here's Booker. He's not going anywhere. He'll be lucky if he gets in the starting lineup next year, if he's going to be around. So.
No, great point. I agree with that. And, but, Izzo's done this in the past. He's a good coach. He's a great coach. I mean, take nothing away from him. That's the other element that's got to be addressed tonight. We're going to see how really good Dusty does against one of the greatest basketball coaches in college basketball history.
We have one more question here. MGB asking if I think Pippen will start next year. Well, look, no, I don't think. Everyone can come back, with the exception of Reuben Jones, and I know he is starting right now, and Vlad Golden. Wolf probably will go to the NBA, but I think Pippen he would be either him or Kason. Maybe you could find. I think Michigan will be looking in the transfer portal. I think Pippen will play more, obviously, Kason too, but I think it'll be Trey Donaldson who will be Michigan starter next year. Let's get to football. One more reminder. I want to tell everyone that coming up tonight after the game on this very feed that you're watching or listening to right now, we will have the Michigan basketball post-game live show. When the game is over, about 5 minutes after or so, once I get all these statistics typed into the feed, we go live. So we'll talk about Michigan State tonight after the game. We'll see you there. And if you're somebody that wants more Michigan coverage every day, Michigan football coverage, Michigan recruiting coverage, Michigan basketball, all of that, well, you want to go to michigan.rivals.com and join up with the Maize and Blue Review today, you can get instant access. Again, go to michigan.rivals.com. It is the place to be. All right, Jerry, you said that you were going to tell us your biggest concerns for the Michigan football team in 2025. Let's hear them.
Well, Denny, first of all, I haven't heard anything about Wink. I'm assuming he's here to stay for another year, correct?
I hope, yeah. Right now, it looks like he's going to be, right? Yep.
Okay, the Saints haven't made any moves or anything like that. So that was my big concern. My other big concern are the two inside tackles. And the reason I say that is we have been so blessed and with these great defensive tackles. They take a lot of pressure off of defensive coordinators, a lot of pressure off of secondaries when we can get pressure on quarterbacks and stop runs with our four up front. So losing those two interior is big. Now, with that said, can we get enough in that rotation to help solidify those two positions right there? So my big concern is defense. Is Wink coming back, those two interiors? If we get those two, I think we could have one of the best defenses in the country. Again, I think our defense was great last year, especially at the end of the season, especially when Wink started understanding what he had as far as personnel and stuff. And I think he adapted at the end of the season as well as anybody. So that would be a huge concern. The other one is, and I see Scott up there with the wide receivers. Yeah, we got to have a couple receivers get open. Now, with that all said, what's the quarterback situation? And I'm leaning more and more towards this, Denny. I'm sorry. I'm leaning more and more towards this. There's going to be that move after the first third of the season between that Wisconsin-Nebraska week break. And I got a feeling we're going to see our five-star getting a lot more reps at that point in time, making a run towards that Big Ten championship.
Yeah, I like it. I think that it's hard to argue. You lose Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, and then, it's kind of unknown about Payne and Trey Williams coming in, and they get Benny back. And so it is going to be – those are big shoes to fill, especially when, it's unknown when they're coming in. So I agree with you as a concern. I'm also, I think I would have been more concerned if I didn't watch the bowl game. All the guys that, that sat out. Now, I would also put the DBs. Amir Hall played in that game and he played well, but the Michigan defense played pretty well too, the way they were able to force those turnovers. But I would put the DBs, the defensive backs, also as a concern for me. And then, like Scott said, just playmakers overall on offense. Gotta have some playmakers. They can be running backs, but the wide receivers, they've got a bunch of them. They need somebody to step up. McCulley, the transfer from Indiana, is the odds-on best bet. But man,
I'm learning more and more of his situation and status at Indiana that I didn't realize, and I'm getting a little bit more excited about him.
Good, me too. I am too.
More excited about him.
That's it. Well, we'll take a question or two in the remaining minutes here. If you have a question, whether it's Michigan football, whether it's Michigan basketball, and then we'll have our final thoughts. I'll give you a prediction on tonight's game. Ferris, let's see if this is a question. He's making a point. He says Izzo is going to get 2 to 3 tacky fouls with his whining. I got to overcome that. I think that I look at the referee situation and Tom Izzo's impact on it. I don't know if Dusty May needs to tell his guys that even before they jump the ball up, act like you have 2 fouls. I don't know if that'll be a strategy because you don't want guys to be tentative. You have to play your game, but you do know that Izzo is going to be out on the floor, the playing surface, as much as he's going to be in the coaching box, and he tries to intimidate the officials and everything else. I'll put the pressure on the referees and Izzo to say that, the aggressor is the one that's going to win. And that's where, so instead of, thinking about, oh, the refs are out to get us and Tom Izzo's a crybaby and everything else. No, Michigan is going to pound the ball inside, and they're going to force those officials to blow the whistle, because I think Dusty and company is going to say, we're going to give the ball to Vlad. He's going to be mad, and he's going to try to dunk the ball, or he's going to get fouled. And he's going to be at the free throw line. And that, in the first 5 to 10 minutes, is the focal point. It's not about, these referees are garbage. They're terrible. That's what all the fans will think. Izzo's buying calls with his crying and everything. Michigan can turn the tables on him by being aggressive, and they have the personnel to be able to do that. No finesse game, power game from Michigan here.
That's a great point, Denny, and it kind of dovetails with what I was saying. This is a big test for Dusty May. I mean, this is a huge test. He's been in the Final Four of Florida Atlantic, but has he seen this kind of coach ever next to him? And he's going to have to match Izzo bump for bump, so to speak. And, he's got to be in there too, being aggressive. And I like your point, forget about the rest. Let's pound that ball inside. Let's turn the tables, make them get in foul trouble. I like that point a lot, Denny. That's a great point. But at the same time, he cannot allow Izzo to own the referees.
So you would tell Dusty, hey, make sure you're in the ears of the officials, because Izzo's going to be working them.
Mix and match. You gotta be right there with them.
All right, here's a question for you, Jerry. First, Scott says he's with his research. He says NFL scouting services have Benny rated as one of the top defensive linemen next season. I will take your word for it, Scott. That's good news. I don't doubt it. Here's the question, Jerry. Where do you think Donovan Edwards goes in the NFL draft? Scott says a third-round steal. What do you say?
I say, first of all, if Benny has that kind of season and we can get the same kind of production out of the other two, we got a heck of a good season looking forward to us next year. I like us if we're able to dominate inside like that. I'm not sure where Donovan Edwards is going to go. I'm not really sure where, you're saying the third round. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he had a great senior bowl camp. I mean, he did great against linebackers on pass coverages, I understand, but I'm not sure how he did. And we'll see. Donovan is one of those kind of guys that he's going to exploit holes that are there, but he's not going to do much when there isn't much. And so, I'm not sure where he's going to go. I think a third, fourth round might be something in the cards for him.
Yeah, if I had to pick today, I would say fourth round. But if he goes to the combine and runs a sub 4.4, well, then I think he'll move up into the third round. He plays a lot like Alvin Kamara from the Saints. I mean, that's kind of his game. And if he runs a sub 4.4, I think there's going to be a lot of scouts that look at him and a lot of teams that will move him up and put him in. You look, there's a solid 5, but after the 5 that you look at with the backs, I could see Edwards really moving up big time with a great showing at the combine. So I'll say fourth round right now. Okay, we see Mr. Martini is talking about the officials tonight. He says they know what to expect. Mustafa says we need Trey Williams and Benny to have a good year. Trey Williams is the transfer from Clemson. I'll agree with that. Jerry obviously agrees with it too, because Jerry said his biggest concerns are the defensive tackles for next year. So yeah, Trey Williams is one of those guys, Jerry.
Hey, if we get that dominant play out of the defense, we're gonna be in really, really good shape next year in football, because I have a strong feeling that our offensive staff is going to be much improved next year.
All right, it's time for the predictions for the game tonight. Jerry, I'm going to go first. I think that Michigan being at home is going to be the deciding factor. Michigan has not lost at the Chrysler Center this year. Meanwhile, Michigan State is talented. They are deep, but I think Michigan can use Area 51 to their advantage, using that screen and roll from the number 4 and 5 position on the floor. and they can get MSU in foul trouble. And U of M has done a much better job taking care of the ball, shoot some free throws down the stretch, and win this game by double figures. But I'm not going to predict double figures. I am picking Michigan to win this one by 2, 79-77.
I like it, Denny. I was going to go 81 76, something like that. I think we can cover. And the other thing, I think Michigan can win the turnover battle tonight. How's that, Denny?
I like it. I think they can too. And Scott's prediction is that Izzo blows a gasket. So, it could happen, but he has he boils over every game, and you think that the gasket is going to blow, and then he's just is grabbing his players and screaming at the officials, and he just loses his mind and wills his team. But yeah, if Michigan wins a close one, Izzo blowing a gasket, I think it could happen.
Hey, if we win the turnover battle tonight, Izzo will blow a gasket. I can guarantee you that one.
All right. Hey, Jerry, all the best. Have fun down there in Florida. We look to talk with you again in the future.
Hail to the victors, Denny. Great to be a Michigan Wolverine. Love it.
There is Jerry Diorio. We will see you tonight on this very feed after the game. See you in a couple hours.